Hi, everybody. We're on intention number 2, which is pulling the plug on the self from the book Transforming Suffering into Wisdom that I finished writing 5 years ago, but I just found on some of my pages back and back, you can see I'm busy writing a series of further books. And I just discovered the 3 intentions in a note that I made 13 years ago. So the book actually was 2002. It's almost 18 years ago. So the book started a long time ago, was finally finished 5 years ago. Transforming Suffering into Wisdom. Intention number 2, pulling the plug on the self. And the chapter that we're reading, all these chapters are about a page. And this one, in fact, is how we pull the plug on the self. So practical, simple. Let's see where it takes us. How we pull the plug on the self. We pull the plug on ourselves all the time. How does it happen? Coming home from work is a good example. Unwinding from all the pressures of the day might just as easily be called unselfing. We do it by reading the newspaper, cooking a meal. Of course, now we don't read newspapers as much, but certainly diving into the website, our favorite websites, cooking a meal, turning on the TV, taking a walk, or talking about things with our friends, until our wound up urge to identify with everything that went right or wrong during the day has been unwound. There's a more direct way. Although difficult at first, with practice, it becomes second nature. It's very simple. As soon as you notice a thought of I, me, or mine, let go of that thought and return to the present moment. There we are, coming back to intention number 1, living in the present moment. Return to your senses. Come back to the experience of who you are in the moment, rather than the concept or story of who you are. Trust the process. It will keep taking you exactly where you need to go, revealing, as you go, more and more subtle layers and levels of yourself and of the nature of things. It's quite extraordinary. You know, we talk to ourselves all the time. And as you begin to do this practice, you realize how little of it you really need. I mean, we pretty much know ourselves by this point anyway. So why do we need to talk to ourselves so much? Why do we need to rehearse? Why do we need to give ourselves so many pats on the back or so many, wagging fingers at ourselves? The truth is we don't. And the more that we let go of those stories, the more that the troubling feelings that accompany them, guilt, the shame, the desire, the clinging, the boredom, the aversions, and the desires all become more and more attenuated, less and less significant. So it's actually a way of getting at many of the troubling feelings that seem to accompany our experience of stress or suffering. It's quite lovely, just simply letting go of all these stories about ourselves. It goes hand in glove with living in the present moment because, gosh, most of the thoughts we have that we're letting go in that intention, most of them are either thoughts with an I, me, or mine in them, thoughts of ourselves, or they're setting up a scenario. Right now, it could be, thinking about the coronavirus or thinking about the political polarization that we find ourselves in. And so most of those thoughts are setting up this kind of roar of ourselves coming in with, I don't like that, or they shouldn't have done that way. look at what is happening to me and my family and the people I love as a consequence. So one of the things that has been really exciting for me to see as I've done more and more of this practice are those scenarios that are really like movie scripts that are setting up, for me to be the hero or the tragic figure in some way, or the schmuck of some sort, and recognizing that I don't need that to be functional, to be authentic, to be happy, to be free. In fact, almost all of them hold me back. There are places where that self is very, very helpful, very useful. Right now, we need to think about how to address this crisis that we're in. There are always crises that we're in, and then there are practical things like going to get groceries or cleaning the house that needs to be done. Those things are appropriate to have an eye of your mind in relation to them. But it turns out we need far fewer of the stories than we share. So have fun with this. It's actually astonishing to see all the stories come up that are stories of ourselves. The intention number 2 of the 3 intentions that release us from suffering, is called pull the plug on the self. Have fun.